I run into a lot of teams that try to make sure in sprint planning that all of their tasks are assigned to individuals before we walk out of that meeting so that everyone knows what they have to do. My advice to you is maybe take a more just-in-time approach versus trying to pre-allocate all those tasks to everyone. When we pre-allocate or allocate early the different tasks to everyone on the team, your sprint has a tendency to become task-driven and not goal-driven. We'd like to have our sprint and everyone working on that sprint to be focused on that sprint goal. What are we trying to accomplish in the sprint? But when we divvy out all those individual tasks, the tendency for that sprint is to become more task-driven. Every team member knows how I'm successful. I'm successful because I complete the items on my task list, and you know how you're successful. Not only that, but we don't tend to collaborate much, and when it comes to daily Scrum, we don't find it very valuable because you know what's going on with your task, I know what's going on with my task. There's really not much we need to learn from each other. In fact, when we have that list of tasks we have to do, anytime one of them gets blocked, we just move on to the next one. And so this way, during the sprint, it appears like we're making solid and sometimes even rapid performance, rapid improvements, rapid gains during that sprint. But it's not until the end where all those tasks that were blocked, all those tasks had issues, well, now those are the only one left. And now you've got only a little bit of time to resolve those things. And more than that, when we tend to be task-driven, collaboration tends to be a last resort, not a first resort, right? Like imagine Bill and I, we're on the same Scrum team, he's a developer, I'm a developer, and if Bill is stuck on something and he comes to me for help, you see, if I stop working on my task to help Bill with his, well then I put at risk my ability to be successful, and since we're successful if each individual complete their task, by me taking time away from my task, I'm actually putting our sprint at risk. And so I'm more likely to make suggestions to Bill for some things he can do on his own. Hey Bill, why don't you try A, B, and C, see if that works. Bill will go off and try that. If it doesn't, he'll come back and be like, hey G, that didn't work, what else could I try? I might propose to try do C, D, and E, and Bill will do that, and we'll play that game until I run out of things that I can suggest, and at that point I'll be, all right Bill, let's sit down together, let's see if we can resolve this. You can see collaboration becomes a last resort. My suggestion is take a more just-in-time approach to task allocation. Essentially, have people assign themselves a task not at the beginning of the sprint, but to wait until that task needs working on. First of all, if a task is so obvious that we can determine on day one who should work on it, well then why bother assigning it at all? This is a visual design task, right? Joe is our visual designer. We know who's going to work on it. It's going to be Joe. And if it's not obvious who's going to work on it, well, why decide on day one? Why not wait until it needs working on? Then we have a better idea of who should work on it. And not only that, but if on day 4, I'm finished working on something and now I need to figure out what to work on next, well, I need to go and look at the plan. I need to go look to see what is being worked on right now in order to decide what I should work on. And so all of a sudden, that updated plan becomes more valuable in answering that question. And maybe the best thing for me to do today is to help Bill resolve that issue that he's having because I don't have some other pre-allocated list of tasks. By having people assign themselves what to work on when it needs to be worked on, it also opens up the opportunity that maybe we discover additional things through the sprint. In sprint planning, we don't discover everything we need to work on, it's just things we discover in that meeting. But as we start to work on things, new things get discovered, and so by not pre-allocating tasks, we leave the opportunity open for simply adding those tasks to the plan and then working on them when they need to be worked on. Take a more just-in-time approach to your sprint. It'll make your team far more engaged and, quite frankly, increase your ability to actually deliver on your team sprint goal.